right, guys, welcome back to the Skinny Truth podcast. I'm Laura Flusche here with Dr. Josh Roller. And we left you guys hanging again last week. Dr. Roller thought that he could take a break and go on vacation for spring break. Where'd you go?
We went skiing. So I got 3 daughters and a wife, and we really like our vacations where we get to do stuff. Now, some of them will say, well, you like to go lay on the beach, but we like to, we went to Utah and went skiing. And so we skied every day. It's something I really like to do. I grew up doing it.
Yeah.
Is there this fear of breaking legs and stuff like that? Yeah. It's
right.
Every year that goes by, that fear gets a little bit stronger. So I don't know how much longer I'll do it, but we really just like the outdoors. And I've got our oldest is a senior, and she's graduating in a few months, and she's going to go play college basketball at Missouri Southern and Joplin. So this is kind of like her last hurrah to do that, and then the rest of us just love doing it. So it was a good week off. So sorry to leave everybody hanging. That's my fault. Oh, you were also recovering though. So
yes, we had spring break, but we didn't do anything too exciting. I was recovering from skin removal surgery, so just kind of hung around the house and didn't do much. But yeah.
Well, and the difference between traveling with 3 littles and 3 bigs is like night and day.
4 littles.
You're 4 littles, yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my 3 little ones.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I cannot even fathom.
Yeah, add 1 to the mix. Our life's crazy, but I love it.
We get asked all the time, like, well, are you ever going to try for a boy? And I was like, yeah, we did 3 times, so we're good with girls. I'm fine being a girl dad. It is
not in the cards for you.
Yeah, I will post a picture at some point. They did put me in this bright yellow and pink ski suit for 2 days.
Oh my
to
gosh.
match them. I know.
That's
I'm being
awesome.
blackmailed with it right now.
We need to see that. All right. Well, we will dive in today. We're going to talk about fears that surround bariatric surgery. There's so many that can sometimes hold people back from pursuing bariatric surgery. So we have a list of like 4 or 5 that we're going to touch on. There's obviously so many of them out there. But I think the first one that I hear pretty often is the fear of regain. Like they're afraid they're going to lose this weight and then gain it back because maybe they've done things in the past and they always gain their weight back. So fear of gaining the weight back after bariatric surgery.
And that is very real. I'd say the average patient thinks about weight loss surgery for at least 3 years before they pull a trigger. Obviously there's some less, but there's some that I remember I started in 2007 that they'll tell me, I went to your seminar in 2008, and
wow.
And, and they show up in 2023. It takes them that long. And the idea is they've tried all these other things and the weight's come back on. So why would this work when the rest didn't? And it's real simple. We are changing your plumbing. Okay. We're changing the connection between your intestines and your mind. Diets don't do that. Medicines don't do that. Nothing else does that. And I'm sure you've tried diets before you decided to have weight loss surgery.
Everything.
What was the longest you stayed on a diet?
Maybe a month. I mean, honestly, a month or 2. I mean, nothing was ever sustainable for more than that ever for me.
Well, and most Americans can only do it for 3 months.
Okay.
I mean, that's the max. And that is because your body is literally fighting against you. So, and where people get frustrated is, they try a diet and they get past that first week or 2 where they're starving. And then like for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're losing weight. You're like, oh, this is awesome. And then by the end of month 2, you're doing the exact same thing that was working. And now it's not.
Right.
You're like, well, what the heck? What else do I need to do? And what's happening literally is your body has adjusted. Your body sees fat as energy. And it's wondering why you're losing energy. It thinks something's wrong with you. And so its whole purpose is to keep you functioning and healthy. So it will start going, okay, Laura is losing weight. This isn't good. That's how the body interprets weight loss. Mm-hmm. It's not a good phenomenon. So it starts making you feel a lot more hungry, starts producing those hormones. It starts decreasing the hormones that make you feel full. It starts slowing your metabolism down. So the workouts you're doing aren't working. And all of this and that's usually happening by that month 2 or 3, and people give up at that point. So it's really just physiologic. The best example is if I take out one kidney, what does the other kidney do?
Right. Works harder.
You can't tell it not to. And so that's the frustration. So surgery is different. It's different because we're doing surgery. We're changing something innately that a diet wouldn't. But that's that's a real fear. Like patients come in all the time going, I don't know why I'm here. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so you got to go through that process. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, and I mean you, and I know you say the exact same thing with the fear of regain. You can't just think, okay, I've had bariatric surgery, I've lost all the weight, and then you still have to choose the right foods. You still have to move your body. It's not an end all be all. Because if you stop doing those things, I mean, you could put some weight back on. I don't think I could ever get as heavy as I was before. I don't know.
The mindset, you're 100% correct, has to change.
Yeah.
And that is, you could put your weight back on with any surgery. You cannot make somebody's stomach small enough to keep out high calorie liquids or real calorie dense foods. Like that can't happen. So when people talk about it being the easy way out and you had this thing to help, okay, well, yes, you have a tool, but you still got to use the tool and you still got to keep it functioning well. Just like with a car, you got to change the oil. You got to put gas in it. You got to put coolant in it. You got to do the things to keep the engine in the car functioning. That is weight loss surgery to a T. And so you cannot just go on autopilot and think, oh, well, I can do exactly what I was doing before surgery, have the surgery, and then continue to do those things and think it'll work. And that will work for a little bit, but those are the people. That's what we saw with all the lap band surgeries, is people thought, oh, I'll just get a little fill in my band, make it a little tighter, and I'll lose weight. Well, it just didn't pan out that way. It doesn't work that way. It's a complete mindset, just like you did. A complete change in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, you have to. Everything. Yep. So don't let the fear of regain. It is a fear and it's legitimate, but don't let that hold you back, because that's why you get bariatric surgery, because nothing else. You can't be successful with anything else.
There is no other method that works long-term as well as weight loss surgery. I mean, not hands down, not even close. You know, even the medicines haven't been studied that long, but if you stop them, the weight will come back. So we're putting something in that's permanent. The tool is there. You just gotta use it. And so the mindset before surgery does change, and the surgery's in the middle, and that will help you be successful. So even though nothing else has worked, does not mean surgery will not.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Okay. The next one, which this is also a really big one, and I did struggle with this one, is the fear around food. Like how your life's going to look different. Are you going to be able to go to social gatherings and enjoy food? Are you going to be able to enjoy the foods that you like to eat? Because let's be real, a lot of it, we love food. Food is good. And that's a big one that I hear.
Well, just think about how social food is. Almost every single event that we have is food related. Birthdays, what do you do for anniversaries? You go out to dinner, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve dinner. Everything revolves around food, lunches, social gatherings. It's all there. And so I think people think, well, if I have this, then I'm not going to be able to go to these events anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And if you really look at people at these events, you always will see the people who, are a little more reserved, and they will hold a glass of wine for a couple hours, or they'll, eat the grilled chicken and a little salad, and not like, as opposed to me over by the dessert section. You got to look at there are people who do that all the time and make those good choices. So it doesn't keep you from going. It doesn't keep you from being around people. But I think that's very common. What has been your experience with social gatherings?
I really haven't had many issues with it. I will say, initially after bariatric surgery, I do feel like you go through a process of maybe grieving. Food was such a big part of our lives. We went out to eat all the time. And like you said, you celebrate with food, you grieve with food. Everything we do surrounds food. And so I do feel like I grieved those foods that I loved and ate all the time. But it goes away. It gets better. And I also tell people, it's not that you can't have those things forever. It's just right now, in the beginning for me. And now, like 2.5 years post-op, my life is normal. Like social gatherings are normal. I don't feel any different now. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it gets better. And
it just feels normal.
Yeah, it feels normal. In the beginning, it is hard, and you just have to give it time to adjust to your new normal.
I think that people like food, when you're in the obesity stage of this before the surgery, it's comfort. What somebody knows they can go do and enjoy it. And there's this fear that if I can't, I'm going to have surgery. I'll never be able to eat again. You're taking away the only joy I have because my knees hurt so bad. My back hurts so bad. I can't go to Silver Dollar City. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my kids' ball games. So my one thing that makes me feel good, you're taking away from me.
Right.
And this is the way we look at it. And I mean, we're not taking that away. We're making it to where a small amount gives you that same satisfaction and comfort. And how many times have you, before surgery, have you had dinner? I know this happens to Kristen and I all the time. And you eat that big steak and you're like, oh, what? Like, why did I eat all that? Why?
Right.
I didn't need to. And there's so many times I wish my stomach was that small. Like I couldn't do it. I say that. I literally say it all the time. That would be, and it's just one of those things. We're not taking it away. We're making it to where you feel better on a small amount. So you don't have that regret about overeating. I think that's the way to look at it, is we're taking away the guilt.
And it is still mind-blowing to me. Almost 2.5 years post-op, and I'll eat something and be full just like on a small amount of it. And I'm like, I could have ate this entire plate of food. And now I'm satisfied with this small amount. And it's truly mind-blowing how much we're able to eat like before bariatric surgery.
The stomach can hold 2 to 3 liters of volume. So when we take out like 70-80% of your stomach and do a dual switch, sometimes, it's always fun for Instagram to put fluid in the old stomach and see how big it can hold 2 to 3 liters. And so
wow,
it can happen. And that's because you're not getting the signal from your intestines to your head that you're full. And surgery changes that. It changes the wiring, changes the plumbing. Now you get the signal after eating a small amount. I'm full. You stop. You're satisfied. You're happy. You don't have the guilt about overeating. Right. And you move on to something that you now can do that you couldn't before surgery, which is, that's the way to look at it. Nothing's being taken away. We are adding. We're moving the guilt and adding pleasure to other areas that you can now do because you don't have the weight.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. And I do think that's like one of the best parts is finally being in tune with when I'm full. Okay, I'm full. I'm going to stop eating. And it really is when you never get full and you finally have that. It's like such a change. Also, hunger, like I know now when I'm truly hungry. And it's just a really cool thing to finally be in tune with it. And weight loss surgery has helped that for me. So don't let the fear of food, it's real, but I promise that life returns to normal and it's a good normal.
Okay, so another thing, a fear that we see a lot is when people come in is the fear of looking old. I don't want to have this surgery because I'll look older. And I don't know, I'm sure you've been into that, and I'm looking at you right now. You do not look old in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
I think you're extremely healthy. Yeah. I know what I'll say as a doctor about that, but what is your opinion on that?
So that wasn't one of my fears going into it. I honestly didn't think about it. I guess it's kind of a known thing. Sometimes when people are heavier, they do look more youthful, maybe, but
in the face.
In the face.
Yeah.
And I definitely, in the internet, the world of social media, that is a very popular comment that I get, that I've aged 15 years, that I look like a 70-year-old grandma. That was one I got. And, maybe I do look older. I don't know. I feel like I look better than I did. But my response to that is, even if I do look older, I'm healthy. When I was 400 pounds, it doesn't matter how young I look. My weight was going to cause me so many problems and health issues that it doesn't matter. So I don't know.
Yeah, you're not going to get to being old if you're not healthy.
Yeah.
So, and this happens. So when we have been doing cosmetics and aesthetics in our practice since about 2017, 18. And the one thing about losing weight, just take anybody, diet, surgery, and let's say you've lost after surgery 25 pounds in 2 weeks, and people look at you and like, something's different. What have you done? And they can tell by your face that you've lost weight. So we generally lose weight from the face down.
I remember you telling me
that.
Face,
arms. That's the first thing you can notice. Fat is the perfect filler. And so the way I tell people is like you have your face and then or a table and then a tablecloth, and everything is fitting perfectly. So when you lose weight, you're shrinking the table. Now the tablecloth looks bigger. But that's what happens as we naturally age anyway. We lose fat in our face.
Right.
And the skin starts to sag a little bit. Now you're seeing what you would look like if you never had a weight issue. So fat is just and we will take fat from other parts of the body and put it back into the face. So weight loss surgery excluded, the natural thing that people undergo is they lose fat here, put it on everywhere else, but we lose it here. This is where people can see you look older. And so weight loss surgery just accelerates that and you see it faster. But that is what you would look like. So you're healthy, you're normal, but now you've got face. And so putting filler in here, you just see on me, you can raise your skin quite a bit by adding volume.
Volume, yes.
So there's lots of things you can do to remedy that. But people who have never had weight loss surgery that are getting older, they do it also. So yes, you could get some loose skin in your face, but that is because you've lost fat. And that is where you would be if you never, ever had a weight issue. So that's why people tend to think they look older, is because of a little bit of loose skin that can occur on the face and it's invisible to other people.
Right.
Now, I will say for every person that has that fear, there are people who look dramatically younger after weight loss surgery. Or, one of my other favorite patients, the bariatric beast on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And he to me, he looks young and fit and he's lost, over 250 pounds, just outrageous
results. Amazing.
But it does. And so that's the thing. It's like, we don't really want you focused on old or young. We want you to look healthy and fit.
Yes.
And it's easy to fix volume in the face.
Yeah,
that is an easy fix. A little bit of filler, fat transfer, Botox, which everybody is doing that.
Even if they haven't had surgery.
Most of our patients in the cosmetic side of our practice are not weight loss surgery patients. They are people like my wife.
Just heard her. Yeah.
I was like, that's an interesting facial that you got for $500. What was that? It's like, oh, that was really Botox and filler. And so, but that'll last for a year and a half, 2 years. So it's just ongoing maintenance, and it's a normal part of aging. So this is what I tell my patients. When you lose the weight, this is what you're supposed to look like at your age without the weight problem.
At a healthy weight.
Weight loss is not, right. The weight loss is not causing you to look older. It's what you're supposed to look like at that age.
Yeah, exactly.
Big fear, easily remedied.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes good into our next one, the fear of losing too much weight. I remember very well at one of my follow-up appointments, I talked to the nurse practitioner about this because people were, and I get this a lot, you're too thin, you've lost too much weight, you need to stop. Well, my BMI is healthy. I'm good with where I'm at. My doctors aren't concerned. But she said something that really stuck with me very well. And she's like, you have to remember that people are used to seeing you at 400 pounds. You've had a drastic, dramatic weight loss. So when they compare your before to your after, it's very dramatic and drastic, and you look very thin compared to where you were. And they're not used to seeing you like that. And so that has stuck with me throughout till the end. That's what, and when I do before and afters on Instagram, people are like, whoa, the difference is just so much,
What's changed is not what a healthy weight is.
Yeah.
What has changed over the last 4 or 5 decades is what people's perceptions of what you're supposed to look like is. And here's the best example. When the Hershey bar came out forever ago in the 1920s or 30s, it was 2 ounces. Now they're huge. So if you went to the store and said, give me a Hershey bar, and I handed you something of 2 ounces, you'd be like, what is this? You're trying to rip me off. Because our perception has changed of what normal should be. And that is the thing, especially my big guys patients, they were big in high school. They've always been the linemen and always seen as big. And they identify with that. And now you're taking their bigness away, and they don't know what to do. They're like, oh, you're too skinny, you're too small.
Right.
Okay, this is where the mindset has to change. And you can't change the rest of the world's mindset. You have to change your mindset, because that's what really matters. I don't care what people think about me or you. Do you feel healthy? Do you feel good? And so I want them to be lean and mean. Okay. I don't want them to be an NFL linebacker. I want them to be Tiger Woods. I want them to be Michael Phelps, Olympic swimmer,
Yeah.
where you're strong, but you're lean. And
Right.
that may be 175 pounds. And they'll say, I haven't weighed 175 pounds since the 5th grade. It's like, I know your mindset has to change. This is what's normal for you.
Right.
And once you wrap your mind around I'll have a lot of my female patients, they'll get down to like 128, 130, which is perfectly appropriate. BMI 25. They're not too thin. And it is. But you know what? I feel really good at 131, but 128, I don't feel as good. But 134, I start to feel sluggish again. So they've dialed into, they know that 130, 131 is right where they need to be.
Right.
So what other people think about how you feel is irrelevant.
Yes.
You got to get to where you feel good about it. And, they're used to seeing most Americans walking around with a BMI between 30 and 35.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody who's got a normal weight, you're like, oh, they're so skinny.
Right.
But are they?
Right. Are they?
Or are they just normal?
Right. Exactly.
We all know what way too skinny is when you see like anorexia. And I mean, it's obvious, but a BMI of 25 is not that.
Right. Yep.
It's healthy.
Yes.
And obviously you can't use BMI for everything because it doesn't account for big, huge muscles. But that's not also most Americans'
of the patients. Yeah, exactly.
We're not dealing with that. I mean, I don't have that issue of having too much muscle. So that's not an issue most people deal with.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to look too old. You're going to look what you're supposed to. You're going to get to a healthy weight that makes you feel good. And that's what matters, not what other people think if you look too skinny or not. Who cares what they think? That's not, as long as you look healthy, they will adapt. And here's the other thing about that. I've had a lot of people, they lose the weight and they go start a new job and get like a new friend group. And none of them look at the brand new people that are introduced in your life. They don't look at you and go, oh my gosh, you're so skinny. They just look at you as this normal person.
Right.
Because I've never seen you before 400.
Right. Exactly. They don't know you before.
That's a great question for you. Of all the new people that you've met in your life that did not know you at 400, does anybody ever look at you or ask you, did you used to be 400 pounds?
Yeah, never. Yeah, they would have no idea.
What they see of you now is their first impression, not where you were. And
right.
So that can be a tough thing for families and close friends and coworkers to understand. It is for you, the patient, to get over.
You can't worry about what other people think. You have to go into this and put the opinions of others to the side and do what you feel is best for you and what makes you feel good. Yeah.
And your husband is literally the perfect example of BMI 35. He's not that big. Now you look at him and it's like, he looks incredible.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't look bad then.
Yeah.
Now you see where he's supposed to be.
Right. Yeah.
Which is tall, thin, lean, and mean. And people that see him now would never
know that he was
that he
larger.
Never had a tummy.
Yeah.
Or diabetic.
Right.
It can't make a lot of sense if you take yourself out of one situation into a new situation, and then all these people over here would never say that you're so skinny. So why are these people over here saying that?
Yeah. Yep.
They're comparing you to your old you,
right? Not
comparing you to other healthy people.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't let the opinions of others dictate what you do with your life. Please don't. All right. Well, I think that we could wrap it up today. I feel like those are some really good fears that people have surrounding bariatric surgery. And we could honestly probably talk about them all day. There's so many others, but I think that's a good start.
One more that we'll do, not today, but probably do a whole episode on it, will be the fear of loose skin.
Yes. Yes.
And not only fear of loose skin, but what to do about it and how not to let that hold you back. So
yeah,
not for today, but we will tackle that.
Yeah. Cause that's a big one that a lot of people have. And I think that could be a whole episode on itself. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. As always, you can find the Skinny Truth podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And we would love it if you would like, subscribe, and comment. And thanks for joining us. We have so much fun doing these, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. So we'll see you next time.